When I first started learning Icelandic, I was super motivated. I had a lot of energy. I was reading everything that I could get my hands on. I was trying to understand everyone. I was trying to practice it as much as I could. I was sure that in 2 years I would have learned Icelandic. But then I hit a wall. There are many potential points where you can metaphorically hit this wall and you will stop trying to learn this language. For example, one of these things is that Icelandic is very Shakespearean. You have to think of how they were using language maybe 1,000 years ago. So for example, instead of saying I want coffee, you say I long for coffee. Instead of saying I have a question, you say I am with question. I understand that this can be a pain for many, but for me, I am a very big fan of this. It makes me laugh, it makes me happy. Another point is that Icelandic, like German, is an agglutinative language. This means that you use many small words to form a new, longer word. For example, in Eyjafjallajökull and in Litlu spjóta hólmaflögur. Another peculiarity about Icelandic is that they use the definite article at the end of the word and attached to the noun. So instead of saying, for example, in English, the king, in Icelandic you would say, king's the. So if you were maybe previously learning another Germanic language, this could be a little bit problematic. And maybe even more problematic is that Icelandic has declensions. The words inflect depending on where they are used, is at the beginning, at the end, if it's doing something, going for something, receiving something, the ending changes, just like in German. For me, that wasn't a huge problem, and I don't come from a country that you use these inflections, but I've heard so many people complaining about these inflections. It's quite tough to use and to use correctly. And now, let's talk about my reasons. When I hit the wall, it wasn't necessarily about the language, about the problems of inflection, about the definite article being at the end, about having to talk like Shakespeare and Hamlet. For me, it was a little bit more about the social interactions and the social dynamics. For some strange reason, I can't seem to, and maybe I'm wrong here or maybe I'm too unique, but I can't seem to connect with Icelandic people that much. For example, after work, maybe you have a couple of beers with your coworkers. As the night progresses, you kind of start getting left out of the conversations and two groups form. The Icelandic speakers and the non-Icelandic speakers. If you're the only non-Icelander, you especially feel left out because you're missing out on the whole conversation and all the laughter and joy. It makes you think if they really like you or if they don't. As a result of that, I started hanging out with mostly foreigners. And probably I know the same amount of Polish as I know Icelandic. And I don't live in Poland, which further complicates matters since I'm avoiding Icelandic and Icelanders. I'm not really encouraged to learn the language. Other problems that I faced here was that the pronunciation I was being taught at school was completely different than what I was trying to understand in the streets of Reykjavik. So for example, if you're taught at school that you say maður, the word for man, in the street you will hear it like mar. They almost drop the ed and the u. When you're saying Merry Christmas, gleðileg jól, all I heard was gleðileg jól. For saying thank you dearly, takk kærlega, I can only hear takela. It just sounds so different that I can't understand what they're saying and I can't even visualize the word. So that makes speaking and learning so much more difficult. So that's been my experience. Maybe you can actually connect much better with Icelanders than I can, and that would be great. But if your problem then is just the language, then you're already in a good position and a better position than I'm in. Maybe the solution for my problems is just to get married here, but that's far from close to happening. So just try your best whenever you can use a language. Try to learn and pick up words here and there. And it just takes a long time. There's people here who have been living for 10 years and I speak better Icelandic than them. So good luck.